All right, kicking off another deep dive, and this one was requested by you guys. We're diving into nice guy habits in relationships.
Oh.
You sent over some fascinating research, and even just skimming it, I'm already like, this whole nice thing can be a bit of a trap. Like, how does that work?
Yeah, it's funny, right? We think of nice as automatically good.
Right.
But what this research really pushes us to do is to look at the motivations behind the niceness.
Okay, so let's get into it.
Yeah.
The research highlights 3 main causes for these nice guy habits. Fear of rejection really jumped out at me.
Right.
That feeling of, if I'm not super nice, they'll leave.
Yeah, it's powerful, like super powerful, and it can drive people to be overly accommodating, like they're trying to earn love through niceness instead of just being themselves.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
But the research also brings up low self-esteem. What's the connection there?
So someone with low self-esteem might need constant validation from their partner, and they might think, if I'm nice enough, they'll finally see how worthy I am. So it becomes this cycle of trying to prove your worth instead of just believing in it. Right. Have you ever felt that pressure to prove yourself in a relationship?
Ugh, that's a tough one. But I think we've all been there at some point.
For sure.
And then there's societal pressure, too.
Oh, yeah.
The research mentions how traditional masculinity can play a role.
Huge role. There's this idea that men should be strong and silent, always putting others first. And while those qualities can be good on their own, taken to an extreme, they can really harm a relationship.
Totally.
It's almost like a pressure cooker
Yeah.
of expectations,
And the research actually gives us some real-life examples of this, Alex and Jamie. And they both kind of fell into this nice guy trap.
Right.
And we'll get into their story a little later.
Yeah.
But just from a quick read, it seems like those societal expectations really got to them.
For sure. Both Alex and Jamie felt this need to live up to these ideals. And it pushed them into some unhealthy dynamics.
So we've got the causes down.
Yeah.
Now, why are these nice guy habits so problematic? The research puts it pretty bluntly, calling resentment and anger major red flags.
Yeah, and it makes sense, right? When you constantly push your own needs aside just to please your partner, it's going to build up.
Yeah.
Resentment's not just like a fleeting feeling. It can really eat away at you, at the relationship. It can turn into passive aggressiveness or even complete emotional shutdown.
It's like you're slowly building a wall, right?
Totally.
Between you and the person you're actually trying to be close to.
Exactly.
But here's something that surprised me. The research also talks about how these habits can actually hinder intimacy.
Yeah.
It seems kind of counterintuitive.
It does, but think about it. If you're always trying to be perfect, avoid conflict, you're not showing your true self. Real intimacy requires vulnerability, being open and honest, even when it's scary. And these nice guy habits can create a facade that prevents that connection from happening.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's like you're trying so hard to be liked that you end up being less likable because you're not being real.
Exactly. And this reminds me of Jamie's story.
Oh, yeah.
He was so focused on being the nice guy that he ended up enabling some unhealthy behaviors in his partner.
Oh, wow.
Like he was almost afraid to rock the boat, even when things were clearly off.
Wow. Yeah, that's a powerful example of how this can backfire.
Definitely.
It's not about being mean, but finding that balance,
Yeah.
between being kind and being true to yourself.
For sure.
So for someone listening who's thinking, whoa, this is me, what can they do? The research gives us 5 habits to stop, immediately.
Okay.
And some of them are pretty eye-opening.
Let's break them down.
Let's do it. The first one is constantly seeking validation, which we've already touched on a little bit. The research emphasizes how vital it is to stop looking to your partner for constant approval.
Yes. It's about shifting that focus inward, and recognizing your own worth. Because ultimately, no amount of external validation is going to fill that void if you don't believe in yourself first.
Right. That's powerful. Next is being overly accommodating, something both Alex and Jamie struggled with. It's like they were bending over backwards to make their partners happy, even at their own expense.
Yeah. Being considerate is great, but it's a two-way street.
Right.
In a healthy relationship, both partners' needs matter.
Absolutely.
It's about finding that equilibrium, not constantly putting yourself last.
And that leads right into habit number 3, avoiding conflict. The research is crystal clear that healthy relationships need open and honest communication, even when it's tough.
I think a lot of people see conflict as like a bad thing, right? But it's actually how we grow. both individually and as a couple.
Okay.
Avoiding difficult conversations just sweeps things under the rug. And you know what happens? That rug gets pretty lumpy.
Oh, it gets so lumpy. It's like that saying, don't let the sun set on your anger.
Oh, yeah.
Like bottling things up just creates resentment and distance.
For sure, for sure. And that brings us to number 4.
Okay.
Being too selfless.
Okay.
Now, this one might seem a little counterintuitive,
Yeah.
but the research emphasizes that you can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
You have to take care of yourself to be a good partner.
You can't give what you don't have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not selfish
Right.
to have your own needs and make sure they're met.
Yes, yes. It's about that balance, that giving and receiving.
Yeah.
A healthy relationship is a partnership, not a martyrdom.
Preach. And finally, the research tells us to stop trying to change our partners.
Ooh, that's a big one.
This one should be obvious,
Right.
but it's so easy to fall into that trap.
Especially when you care about someone so much.
Totally. Look, we can influence each other, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But ultimately, trying to force someone to change into who we want them to be, recipe for disaster.
It's not going to work.
It's about accepting each other, flaws and all.
Right. Loving the good and the bad.
All of it.
So we've got these habits to ditch, but what's the alternative? What do we do instead? Luckily, the research gives us some pretty concrete solutions, and I'm feeling kind of hopeful reading them.
Me too. It's about rewiring those thought patterns and behaviors.
Okay.
And it all starts with developing self-awareness,
Yeah.
which is really the foundation of all healthy relationships.
Yeah. You can't change what you don't acknowledge, right?
Exactly.
And the research also really stresses the importance of assertive communication, something that can feel really daunting
Oh, yeah.
if you're used to people-pleasing.
For sure.
But it's such a vital skill.
It is. It's about finding that middle ground,
Yeah.
between being honest about your needs
Right.
and being respectful of your partners.
Totally.
It's not about attacking or being passive-aggressive,
Yeah.
but being clear and direct about your thoughts and feelings.
And I think that ties in perfectly with the next solution, setting boundaries.
Yes. Boundaries are essential
Right.
for protecting your well-being and creating a healthy dynamic. It's about knowing what you're comfortable with,
Yes.
what you're not comfortable with,
Yeah.
and being able to communicate those limits clearly.
Clearly and effectively. Love it.
Yeah.
And it all comes back to respect.
Yeah. Mutual respect. That's the foundation of any healthy relationship. It's about treating your partner as an equal,
Right.
valuing their opinions and needs just as much as your own.
Makes sense.
It creates a sense of partnership, collaboration,
Right.
instead of like a power struggle.
And it's so easy to lose sight of that
Totally.
when you're caught up in these nice guy patterns, you know?
Right.
You're so focused on pleasing the other person that you forget about your own needs.
For sure. Speaking of experts,
Yeah.
remember those quotes we pulled from the research?
Oh, yeah, those are good.
Yeah, they really highlight these points.
The first one from Dr. Robert Glover really hit home for me. He said, nice guy habits can be a major obstacle to building a healthy and fulfilling relationship. By recognizing and overcoming these habits, men can build stronger, more meaningful connections with their partners.
I think what's so powerful about that
Yeah.
is that it acknowledges the challenge,
Right.
but also emphasizes the possibility of change.
Totally.
It's not a life sentence.
Right, it's something you can work on.
Exactly.
And then there's the quote from Dr. Helen Fisher. She said, the nice guy syndrome is a common phenomenon that can lead to resentment, anger, and even the demise of the relationship. By developing self-awareness and practicing assertive communication, men can break free from the nice guy trap and build healthier, more fulfilling relationships.
What struck me about Dr. Fisher's quote is how she kind of normalizes it.
Yeah,
You know, so many men struggle with this,
for sure.
and it's not about blaming or shaming,
Right.
but recognizing the pattern and offering solutions.
Yeah, it's like, hey, you're not alone in this.
Exactly.
There's a way out.
And both quotes really highlight those key themes we've been talking about. Self-awareness and communication.
It's like validation that we're on the right track.
Totally. It's not just our opinion. It's backed up by research and experts.
Exactly.
And you know what else really helps solidify these concepts?
What's that?
The real-life examples from the research. Alex and Jamie's stories. So relatable.
Oh my gosh, yes, I loved those. Remember Alex, the software engineer,
Yeah.
constantly seeking validation from his partner, Sarah?
Oh, yeah.
He was so afraid of rejection that he was sacrificing his own needs and desires. And it really created this rift between them.
It's a classic example of how these nice guy habits can push someone away.
Right.
He was trying so hard to please her that he lost himself in the process.
That's never attractive.
Never. And then there's Jamie, the freelance writer, so accommodating, bending over backwards for his partner.
He was exhausted.
Exhausted and resentful,
Yeah.
but felt trapped in this cycle of people-pleasing.
Both of their stories are so familiar, and I think a lot of listeners can probably relate.
Oh, for sure. But what I love about the research, it doesn't just leave us there,
Right.
wallowing in the problems. It shows how Alex and Jamie turn things around.
That's the best part.
Yeah, it gives us hope and a roadmap.
Hope and a roadmap. I love that. So Alex, he started practicing assertive communication.
Good.
Setting boundaries.
Yes.
Prioritizing self-care.
Important.
It wasn't easy,
Yeah.
but he slowly started to reclaim his sense of worth.
Right.
Build a more balanced relationship with Sarah.
And Jamie realized he needed to be honest about his needs.
Yeah.
Communicate more effectively.
Right.
Stop being a doormat. He started saying no more often, setting limits.
Good for him.
And it actually strengthened his relationship.
Interesting.
Yeah, because it was based on authenticity and respect.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see how those solutions we discussed actually worked in real life.
Right. It's like, okay, this stuff actually works if you put in the effort.
Exactly. And even if you don't think you're a classic nice guy,
Right.
the research has some great advice on how to prevent these habits from forming.
Yeah, it's like a preventative approach
Yeah, exactly.
to relationship health. Never too early to start building those strong foundations.
So it all comes back to those key points.
Self-awareness,
Yep.
assertive communication,
Boundaries.
mutual respect.
And don't forget self-care.
Oh, of course. You can't be a good partner if you're running on empty.
So true. You know, as we're talking about all of this,
Yeah.
I'm realizing there's one more piece of advice
Okay.
that wasn't explicitly mentioned in the research, but I think it's crucial.
Ooh, lay it on me.
Learn to embrace vulnerability.
Yes. So powerful.
Right.
It's about letting go of that need to be perfect
Yeah.
all the time.
Right.
Allowing yourself to be seen for who you truly are.
Yeah. Imperfections and all.
Exactly. Because genuine connection comes from authenticity, not from some facade of niceness. It's about being real,
Yeah.
being open, willing to share your true self with your partner.
Even the messy parts.
The messy parts too.
That's so beautifully said. And I think it ties in with everything we've been talking about.
Yeah.
The self-awareness, the communication, the boundaries.
That's all about showing up as your true self in the relationship.
Exactly. And speaking of resources,
Oh, yeah.
the research provides a few that I think could be incredibly helpful
Yes.
for anyone who wants to dive deeper into this topic.
Let's hear it.
Okay, so spill the beans. What are these resources?
All right. First up, we have No More Mr. Nice Guy by Dr. Robert Glover.
Oh yeah, we've talked about him.
Yeah, his book seems to be like the book
Got
for
it.
understanding and overcoming this whole nice guy thing. It really gets into the root causes and gives you some practical strategies.
Sounds like a must read.
Definitely. Next one might surprise you. The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman.
Interesting. How does that fit in with the nice guy stuff?
Well, when you understand how you and your partner give and receive love,
Yeah.
it can totally change your relationship.
Okay.
When you feel truly loved and appreciated for who you are,
Right.
you're less likely to, try to earn love through people pleasing.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's about recognizing that love can be expressed in different ways
Yeah.
and finding that common ground with your partner.
Right. Right. Awesome. What's the last one?
The last one is Attached
Okay.
by Amir Levine and Rachel Heller.
Okay.
And this book dives into attachment theory,
Oh, interesting.
which basically explores how our childhood experiences
Okay.
shape our relationship patterns as adults.
Oh, wow. So it's like looking at those deeper...
Yeah, those subconscious things that influence how we relate to others.
Wow, this deep dive has been so eye-opening.
Yeah, it's been
I
great.
feel like we've unpacked so much
With that,
about this whole nice guy thing, and more importantly, how to move towards healthier, more fulfilling relationships.
for sure.
What's standing out to you? Like, what's the biggest takeaway?
For me, it's that shift from external validation to internal self-worth.
Right.
It's not about becoming someone you're not,
Right.
but embracing who you are
Yeah.
and building relationships based on authenticity, respect, healthy communication.
It's about being kind and caring.
Yeah.
without losing yourself.
Without losing yourself in the process, exactly.
It's about being genuine, not just nice.
That's it. And remember, it's a journey.
It is.
It's not a destination.
Yeah, there will be bumps along the way.
Oh, yeah.
But with self-awareness and effort, you can build the kind of relationships you deserve.
Absolutely. And for anyone listening, if this deep dive sparked any aha moments for you,
Oh yeah, we want to hear about it.
let us know.
Maybe you've recognized some of these habits in yourself in past relationships. Or maybe you have a totally different take on this whole thing. Share your thoughts with us.
We love hearing from you guys.
All right, that wraps up our deep dive into nice guy habits. We hope you gained some valuable insights and are feeling empowered to create healthier, more authentic relationships.
We'll see you next time.
Until then, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those brainwaves buzzing.